last night, but if I could finally ask you about something, I just hit on this with Bill McGurn, is the editorial board.
Good morning, YouTube. JT, Serenity Farms prepping here. It's 10% chance of rain, so naturally it's pouring. Just another one of those jobs where you can be wrong every day of your life and still be employed. Kind of like a politician. Alright, so today, let's talk riots. We're not talking peaceful protest because there isn't any. A peaceful protest is when your child wants a cookie and you say no, and they run around screaming and begging for another 2 hours before finding something else to do and forgetting all about it. That's a protest. What we are seeing across the country in only and specifically libtard cesspool cities and states are riots fueled by terrorist, Marxist, George Soros and DNC funded scumbags. Alright, so the latest push, of course, as Don Lemon and other fake news pundits are afraid because the riots are affecting the polls. Now all of a sudden, after 90 days, the Democrats, a couple, like mainly only the two running for president and vice president, are denouncing the riots. Of course, they have never called them riots. They're calling them protest. They've dropped the word peaceful, if you notice. But let's talk Pedo Joe and Camaho for a minute. Alright, so she came out on a hard-hitting interview. I use the quotation marks a lot. It is to emphasize a point. Sorry about that rudeness, but there's something here I want to read to you, and my screen went black. So, she came out on Colbert and stated that the protests were not going to stop, don't need to stop, and in fact are going to increase up to and after the election. So if you're confident that you're going to win, what would be the purpose of riots continuing after a victory? Okay, excuse me. Sports teams have riots all the time after victories, but those are drunk little knuckleheads. And I guess we won't be seeing many of those celebration victories this year for any sports, will we? Alright. She has asked and is actively fundraising using her 5 million Twitter followers to bail out all the scumbags who are committing the acts of terrorism, anarchy, rioting, burning, looting, assaulting, murder. She's bailing them out? Okay, Joey. He's on a whirlwind one-city tour. He was in Pennsylvania, had maybe 30, 40 people show up for his massive rally, press conference. I think he was in a cage. Did anyone see that? It looked like a dog cage. Anyway, all he's been doing for a couple days based on whatever script he's given is blaming projecting, because that's what libtards do. Everything they're doing is projection. Always accuse your opponent, your enemy, anyone you're trying to defame of doing exactly what you're doing. Okay, so we have the cesspool cities and states of Seattle. We all know what happened to Chapo. No Republican elected mayor since 1964. Minnesota, 1957. We know what happened in Minneapolis, right? Portland, we know what's going on there. Still, 1952. Chicago, 1927. And maybe the biggest cesspool of all, D.C., never. Okay, so that's a major problem for everything that these cities are having happen is Democrat rule or lack thereof. Okay, so Biden has come out and said everything that's happening in these cities and states, Democrat run forever, is President Trump's fault. But yet, in all of these cesspools, mayors and governors have been seen walking arm in arm with the terrorists. Some of them got tear gassed while they were protesting with the terrorists. Some of them got booed off their own stages for trying to cozy up to the terrorists. But the point is, these riots are pre-planned, funded. A lot of the terrorists are being brought in from other places. I don't know if y'all saw the article the other day where a bus got stopped rolling into either Portland or Kenosha. And when the authorities searched the bus, there was all sorts of explosives, weapons, and all the terrorists were from out of town. The other night, 145 people arrested. 105 of them were not from the city that they were in. It's a traveling circus. So, there's been a lot of people I've been seeing on Facebook and other places that are, I want to say, hoping that the riots stop after the election. Well, I completely disagree with that theory. One, if the president wins, there's no way they stop. They will increase violently. Pedo Joe and Kama Ho have stated that they're going to continue up till and after the election. Now you also have to come to the realization that these terrorist Antifa BLM scumbags are so far left Marxist that even the socialist and commies that are running these cities and running for president and vice president are not radical enough for them. So there's another reason. George Soros controls most of these people, him and the globalists. They were bought and paid for years ago. They may be promised seats on a new globalist conglomerate corporate board that runs the world. They may have too much video and audio footage from Epstein Island to say no, and sadly, they probably agree with everything that's going on, so it's not a stretch for them to go ahead and let it all happen. Now, it's obvious when all of this started, the Dems thought that this would really work in their favor. The chaos, the anarchy, the terrorism. They thought it would all be blamed on the president. So for people who consider themselves woke and way smarter than you and I, they're pretty dumb. The riots are happening in solely Democrat-controlled cities and states. The riots are being committed by terrorists who continually yell and scream the mantra, death to America, death to Trump supporters, kill the president. Those don't sound like Republican conservatives to me. And not a single libtard politician since 90 days ago has said a word condemning all these riots in all these cities. Not a one. So, I believe that there will be a major false flag attack on a terrorist group, Antifa, BLM, in some city, staged by the left, using their own people to attack their own people, to make it look like Trump supporters or, right-wing extremists are committing this act to fuel the flames. That is a common strategy tactic of the left. They do this virtually every mass shooting that we see, every staged lynching that we see, every staged desecration of a minority building or church, or you know the game. Alright? I believe that it's backfiring big time on the Democrats, as evidenced by the rhetoric now coming out and the attempt to shift all the blame to people who are not even remotely responsible for it. Okay? So, I would like your opinion on when or if you think the riots, the terrorism, the anarchy will stop, or if they will. And I don't mean just in November. I mean ever. This may be a America that is acting like a third world shithole. And is this something that we're going to have to learn to live with? Yeah, no. I see very bad things coming very soon. So, like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know your opinions, thoughts on these. Share this. Once again, thank you to all my viewers and subscribers. One of my videos, the Australian Cashless Society one, has over 100 views, went up 78 views in like a day and a half. It was at 134 and then dropped back down to 99. I don't understand what happened there, but now it's back up 102, 103, and all my other videos are getting some nice hits too. So we got to get the message out. We have to get prepared for what's coming any day now. But for now, JT signing off.